Good evening, everybody. It is Monday night, so it has to be time for We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with former Milwaukee Bucks center Paul Mokeski, coming to you on a Monday evening. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Big Mo, what do you know, brother?
When I had a great Mother's Day weekend, it's starting to really get hot here in the high 90s and hundreds here in Las Vegas. So getting ready. The summer started already, I think.
Hey, it's hot all over, man. And Mo, we got a lot to get into tonight. We've reached the final four of the NBA season. We got the conference finals. We got the Celtics and Heat in the East, the Nuggets and Lakers in the West. Heat, 8 seed, Lakers, a 7 seed. We're gonna get into all of that. But Mo, first I want to start with a bit of news. As our good friend Chris Ramsey, Chris, we love you, baby. Hello,
What's up,
man.
Chris?
Thanks for tuning in, brother. Before we get to some of the games, let's get the news out of the way, Mo.
Has been suspended for a second time after once again appearing to flash a gun on social media. The video circulated on Saturday night. It shows Morant with what appears to be a handgun while he's riding in a friend's car. Yesterday, the Grizzlies said they were aware of the video and suspended Morant from all team activities pending league review. In March, Morant was suspended for 8 games after he was seen holding a gun inside a nightclub on Instagram Live. A representative for Morant did not immediately respond to requests for comment.
It looks like he's looking for a sponsorship from Glock, I think, because that's what he's holding all the time. And I mean, whoever that guy that's driving the car and egging him on, I mean, whoever is, come on, man, whoever's around, get rid of that dude first. And, just get rid of him first, and then work your way down through the group that obviously is killing his reputation and not telling what he wants to hear. And you know what, Ricky? We've talked about this before, and we've gone through his past. This isn't a surprise. It wasn't a surprise to me in March when he did it, because he had a history of this. His dad had a confrontation with, the football player, Shannon Sharp on the court. And he had a couple situations this summer, at a mall where his mother was in some kind of altercation, and he went and threatened the security, the mall security. Thank goodness. I'm telling you, if he would have brandished a weapon then, he would have been in cuffs and in jail before he would know what was happening. And then the other thing that, he invited some high school player, a good high school player, to his house to play ball with him, and the high school player was getting the best of him, I think, and talking trash, and Ja supposedly pushed him, and some of Ja's buddies punched him and kicked him, and then on the way out, here's a party gift for you. Here's Ja showing his pistol again while the kid is leaving in his Uber. I mean, come on, man. And then to top it all off, in March when it all happened, he did all of 11 days of treatment, which, of course will fix him up right away, and then apologize to everybody. It's never going to happen again. This isn't who I am. Yes, it is. That's who you are. And you better change it pretty fast, because this is going to cost him tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, because this suspension, they went light on him last time, and this one's going to be heavy. Could be half a season, could be a whole season. That's been done before. And, you just hope someone listens. But you know what? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink until he wants help and listens. And I listened to, ESPN, Kendrick Perkins today was talking about how in the beginning of the season, he knows that family. He talked to them and Ja and said, you need to stay away from this. You need to do more of this. You can't do this. Can't do that. And today, he said on TV, they will not listen. So, if you're not willing to listen, you're going to keep going down that avenue. And I told somebody like you or something, you're going in the tunnel and you see the light, and you think you can see the end of the tunnel, but really it's a train coming head on. It's getting ready to hit you. So it's a sad, sad situation.
Hey Mo, you have been in on staffs and front offices of NBA teams. What are the Grizzlies thinking right now?
They're thinking, we need to pump the brakes on that max extension we're talking about, right? He's talking about a $400 million extension. We need to pump the brakes on that. We need to re-look at our draft situation, which is coming up here in a month or so. And we need to rethink what we want to do with this young man who is super, super talented. In the next 5 years, could be one of the best players in the league. If he played his cards right, he could be the face of the league, a la Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, along that line. Or he could be just a disaster that can bring our franchise down and burn it to the ground. And that's a scary, scary thought.
Yeah. And Mo, you think about this season, coming into the season, everybody was high on the Grizzlies. Granted, they had a good regular season. They had some tough injuries, but he was not able to lead them past the 7 Lakers in the playoffs. So not only are you giving these guys problems off the field, off the court, you're not winning on the court. And that's going to be considered too, also, right?
Yeah, I mean, they had injuries to Aquaman and somebody else, and and Ja had a broken finger or something like that, and was struggling, and and then let's throw in the other Aaron Brooks. Let's throw in that situation where they've actually cut their ties with him.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks. Yeah,
Dylan Brooks. You're not welcome back anymore. A guy that's was a big piece of that puzzle, but he caused problems on the court and in the media. So they said, "See you later" to him, and so now, I mean, everything's up for grabs now, including what we've seen in the past, the head coaching position. Who knows what happens?
Yeah, and Chris talks about crazy, immature Morant. The leader, Steven Adams, is leaving the Memphis Grizzlies, and they may have to separate. Sad to see this, but he's not listening to veteran guys.
No, I mean, obviously he's not. I mean, and he I think someone made a point today that he's making a huge, huge mistake because he thinks the NBA needs him. The NBA doesn't need him. Would they like a talented player? Yeah. They don't need him. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson retired. NBA goes on. Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jordan, retires. They go on. Unfortunately, we lose Kobe Bryant to a helicopter accident, but he had retired then. The league goes on. Shaq leaves. The league goes on. The league does not need you, John Morant. You're mistaken if you think that. So, I don't know where you go from here. If it's desperate enough for him to actually listen to somebody, but how this is going to play out is going to be very interesting.
Hey, Jared Wiley checking in with us. Too bad for Memphis. This is a huge setback for the team. Yes, it is. Can you imagine being a teammate of his, Mo?
No, I mean, they were right. They were an up-and-coming team, right? I think they were a 3rd or 4th seed, right?
They were second seed. Yeah,
they were a second seed. They had a solid season, and then Ja does something stupid in Denver, and that hurts them. Then they have injuries, and that hurts them. And now he did this. You're going from a bright, bright future to maybe disaster, and everything comes crumbling down in the blink of an eye. And that's what's That's what's in danger right now. And if you're the ownership of Memphis and the front office of Memphis, you got to be making Plan B, right? So you got to be saying, okay, we can't just fold up tent and just have all our cards fall down. We need to will someone take Ja Morant? Will someone, what can we do to salvage this franchise that we had going in the right direction? And who knows what that is?
Wow.
I mean, if you were a business, right? You're a computer business or something like that, and you have a brilliant person that works for you. He's a brilliant mind. He's a brilliant coder, and he's a great salesman and face of your company. And then he continues to do stupid stuff and has legal problems and all kinds of problems. They're going to cut ties with that person too. It's a business.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I thought it was important to start with that, Mo, and get that out of the way because that, I mean, it's huge news. I mean, this guy, like you said, has a chance to be the face of the NBA, but he's not going to be that anytime soon.
I mean, that's if I'm not mistaken, I think Gilbert Arenas was suspended for a year for having a gun in a locker room or something, and it's a touchy subject, especially the way our community and our society is now about guns. And
right,
what are you trying to do? I don't understand. I mean, and why the hell are you videoing it? How stupid is that? That's idiotic. And
I mean, right. It's like somebody caught him out in public. Oh, that's Ja Morant. He's doing it himself.
It's mind-boggling. And, I made that comment before that he needs to find a mentor that he'll listen to, like, our friend and a great person, John Lucas, who's dealt with this before, or Antoine Walker, who's working with the NBA right now and been through a whole bunch of stuff. But if he's not going to listen, that's a waste of time. I mean, and I know John Lucas is a great friend of mine, and you know him a little bit. I mean, if he sat down with John and found out in the first 5 minutes of the conversation he wasn't listening, he would get up and leave and leave some choice words for him to chew on after he left too. So if you're not willing to listen, I mean, the hope we have, everybody wants them to do well. Everybody wants to give them the right help. But if you don't listen, you don't listen. So it doesn't matter who talks to you. Anybody can talk to you.
And I totally agree with you, Jared. His friends aren't doing him any favors to encourage that behavior and then post it on Instagram. Dude, you don't need friends like that, man.
You saw what the driver of that car was doing. He was egging them on. And you know what? You want to be a real friend? You don't even have to talk to them. You just need to say, listen, give me your phone. Give me your phone. And if we go anywhere, I'm taking everybody else's phone. And then we'll give it to you afterwards. So nothing stupid happens to you. Because guess what? All these hangers on, I guarantee he's taking care of their car payment. He's doing some stuff. He's giving them money. Who knows? He's probably paying them $100,000 a year. Guess what? When that spigot dries up on Ja's end, it's going to dry up on your end too. So you better wake up too.
And Mo, I'm sure throughout your NBA career, you have seen those hangers on come and go.
Absolutely. More so, back when I played, we didn't make this kind of money. I mean, when I was in the league, $1 million a year was like crazy money. Now these guys are making 40, 50 mil just in basketball, but then they're making another 100 mil with a Nike contract and a Powerade contract and all that. So you're talking about, hundreds of millions of dollars now. So there's all kinds of people that want to be your friend and want to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And then if they're not taking care of you, they can really hurt you. And that's what's happening. And I saw it a lot more when I was coach with the Dallas Mavericks and, where the money was getting up there. And, you could see, You know how you look at players when they go to LA for a road trip, and you see who meets them there, and you see, who else has a suite at the Four Seasons that this player is paying for, or what limo service has 4 or 5 guys in it waiting for you as you leave the hotel lobby. So you find out who all
And
these guys are.
and the teams know that. They see all that, right?
But the teams have security. They know everything. They have full time people that check your social media, and all and the league times 100. The league has security in every city of the league, and they have connections with the FBI, with the police in that town. They have connections with everybody, so you can't hide. I mean, I see a Mason saying keep a light on Ja. It's on him. The light is bright as hell on him. It's a spotlight, and he needs to realize that the NBA has it, the Memphis has it, the league office, everybody, and it's just it's a train wreck in the process, and you can't take your eyes off it.
Yeah, and we certainly appreciate the comments. They keep coming in. Chris, David Stern would not put up with job behavior.
Yeah, David, David Stern was a great commissioner. Brought the NBA along with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird out of trouble. I mean, in the '70s, the NBA was in trouble. Playoffs were tape delayed. No one was interested, and David Stern, along with those players, were part of that. However, the game, the money has all changed, and Adam Silver's doing a great job, but he's got his hands full with these young players that think they can do whatever they want and there's no consequences till the door slammed in their face. So I hope a lot of people are watching this because John Morant's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars playing time on the court, and for what? For silliness.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Man, let's get on to what's happening on the doggone floor. We've got a lot to talk about, Mo. Let's start with the dethroning of the defending champions out west. The Lakers took out the Golden State Warriors in 6 games, and is this the end of a dynasty? Uh, Chris says Perkins likes to go off the Warriors dynasty is done. But Chris disagrees. He thinks they still got some more left, Mo.
I don't know if I agree with that, Chris. I mean, Draymond Green, who was the heart and soul of that team for so many years, his talent has gone down. He's not effective as he used to be. I think with the young players, Poole, who he actually punched in the face, and Kuminga and some of that younger group are tired of listening to him. He had one important great game in that series. He had 20 and 10 in game number 5, and then laid another egg in game number 6 with 9 points and 9 rebounds. And he's just not the player he was, and he has a player's option to opt out of that, which I think it's $27 million. But I don't know, the way he hugged LeBron at the end of that series. I thought they needed to get a room. They were hugging so hard, and I could see him making that move and leaving the Warriors. And then Poole is just not the player that everybody thought he was going to be. He's very loose and not very disciplined, and he'll make a great play and then make a really bad play, and that's tough to build around. Curry's Curry. Clay laid an egg the last couple of games, and he's just not the player he used to be. And Looney is a serviceable big, but they struck out on Wiseman, who was supposed to be their big of the future. So they got a lot of thinking to do about what direction they're going to go. And the new CBA with salary caps now, a lot of teams like the Warriors aren't going to be able to overspend like they have in the past. And I'm trying to find it. Let's see. Next year, Steph Curry makes $51 million. Actually, no, 52 million. 51.9. Clay makes 43 million. Draymond's scheduled to make 27 million. Jordan Poole makes 27 million. Andrew Wiggins makes 24 million. So you got a salary cap problem right there.
Right there.
All those salaries, and so you're limited to who you can add. So I think they're gonna. I don't think they're in a classic tear it down and start over mode, total rebuild. But they're gonna have to rebuild, much like the Lakers did halfway through the season this year.
Hey, I like this comment Steve made about Clay's legs are getting old. I mean, he's coming back from a devastating injury, and a shooter it starts from your legs up, right? Shooters like Clay, could that have affected him?
Sure. I mean, he's had major injuries with his legs, and obviously you're right. The shooting comes from your legs. That's your base. It goes up through your bodies to your release, and I think it could affect him, and maybe he ran out of gas a little bit. I mean, he was 1 for 14 in the first half of Game 7 against Sacramento. He was horrendous, as was Poole. But then Clay hit a couple big threes and helped them win that game. But he was very less effective in the Lakers series. And you know what else? Remember, Klay Thompson was one of the best defenders in the league. Remember that? He was one of the best wing defenders in the league, and he's not that anymore. He tries hard, but he's just not as effective. And a combination of all that, you got a deteriorating Klay Thompson that you're gonna have to pay $40 million to next
year. Yeah. And in the meantime, Jared, I'm eating crow with my Laker fans, and I hate it. Seriously, Pelinka deserves credit for getting all the right pieces in the Westbrook trade. Let's talk about the Lakers and their chances against the Nuggets in the conference final. Mo, I am shocked at where they are now.
I'm not. I mean, and Pelinka does deserve a lot of the credit because he made some very good, shrewd decisions at the trade deadline, and added players, like Vanderbilt, a good defender, and Russell, and guys like that really fit in better. But guess what? Too, he made the horrible decision of bringing Westbrook on. That's terrible. That was his call. Everybody says it was LeBron. Well, Pelinka signed off on it, and then added some older players that played no defense. So when they made those moves and brought on guys that can actually play defense and be effective and are better shooters, and having LeBron and AD getting more healthy, I mean, I can't remember after the All-Star break, they're like 29-9 or something. So
and we're the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah, so they made those changes, so it doesn't surprise me where they're at. They weren't a 7th seed or 8th seed. The Warriors weren't a 7th or 8th seed. Miami wasn't an 8th seed. Those are all misleading because of the years they've had. But Pelinka does deserve a lot of credit that he made those changes and put them in the position they are. Now, whether they can handle the Denver Nuggets with the Joker, it's going to be, I don't know if they can match up. If you remember in the bubble when they played them, Joker wasn't the Joker he is right now. And they also had Dwight Howard and a couple other big bodies they could throw at him, which they don't have now. So you're going to look at, I brought up his name last week, and I'm going to bring it up again, Tristan Thompson. They made that move for a reason. He's 6'10", 270, and he can bang a little bit. And then I heard another name that we haven't heard for a long time, Mo Bamba, who is getting checked out to see if he can come back. And at least he's 7 foot. He's really skinny, but he could bother the Joker a little bit. But that matchup puts Denver probably a little ahead of that. But then again, if you're Denver, who's going to guard LeBron? So I think it's going to be a good series. I think it goes 7. There's altitude up in Denver too, and it's a real deal. And especially the older you get, and you know, you got LeBron and AD and some older guys on that team that could affect them more than others. So we're going to see starting tomorrow night. It's going to be an interesting series.
Yeah, Chris says, I got the Lakers beating. I got the Nuggets beating the Lakers, and he gives our buddy Derek Gervin credit for picking the Lakers to get to the finals. Yeah, Derek was always hot on them because he said that.
But Derek picked him when Westbrook was playing for him, so that doesn't count. The other player,
but Mo, they immediately got better when Westbrook left. I mean, they just immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you know, addition by subtraction.
I mean, that's almost. It just seems unfair to Westbrook that.
Well, look at so nothing against Westbrook. He just didn't fit in. He didn't fit in. I mean, so look at it. So you get rid of Westbrook and his 50 mil, whatever it was, and guess who gets to step in to play? Dennis Schroeder. So Dennis Schroeder is averaging 10 points a game now, where he wasn't even playing before. And now guess who? D'Angelo Russell steps in. Instead of Westbrook playing in the fourth quarter, you got Russell, who's averaging 15 points a game. And then you got Hachimura you brought in. You brought in Vanderbilt, who's a defender. You know, so all that, you know, they had to give up, you know, some players like Pope, that's going to be an interesting matchup because he's playing with Denver now. But they made a sacrifice and got better as a team. And getting rid of Westbrook, I'm sorry, it's a big move for everybody.
How do the Nuggets win this series? How do the Lakers win this series?
Well, I've already heard Darvin Ham, you know, say we're going to have to mix it up and do some stuff against the Joker because he's a matchup nightmare, and that's what someone asked me how I would guard him, and I said I would mix it up. I would front him, I'd push him off his block at 3/4. I'd want my teammates to trap him off the dribble, off the pass, and keep them guessing. So I think the Lakers are going to do some of that. They're going to have some help either from Mo Bamba or Tristan Thompson to get some minutes on the Joker because LeBron's not going to cover him, even though he could. AD is too skinny. He'll get beat up, probably get hurt if he covers him. So who's going to cover him? They have to decide that. The other thing the Lakers have to do is if they're going to not match up size-wise with the Nuggets and the Joker, then they need to get pace and get up and down and run and keep running because actually they're a better team in transition. LeBron is way better in transition when he's a freight train coming down with the ball. So that's what they have to do. And Denver has to figure out a way to slow them down, go through Joker, take advantage of him, and have guys around here that they've done all year with Murray, with Pope, with Porter Jr., with Green, and those guys have to be able to knock down shots when he kicks it out to them.
Yeah, and the Nuggets, not only did they knock out the Suns, they got Monty Williams fired. Former coach of the year, Mo.
Kiss of death.
I mean, Nick Nurse, Dwayne Casey, Budenholzer, Monty Williams, they might be the last 4 of the 5 coaches of the year. All got fired. And all those guys are good coaches.
They're all great coaches, but you're hired to be fired. I tell everybody, the first people that go in the NBA when you struggle is assistant coaches, then the head coach, then the general manager, then the players. That's how it works. So you got to realize that, and they're all great coaches. But at that point, I mean, the situation in Phoenix is a perfect storm, right? For a new owner, Michigan State grad, who's a billionaire, and he just buys the team, and obviously he's going to want to bring in his people. And you got a team that was hurt and injured, and they flopped in the playoffs. So that gives you a chance to fire your coach with minimal headache from the media because you can point that out, and it's a time for a change now. So it was, it's going to happen. If they don't win that series, you can see that all day. And I'm telling you, write this down, Isaiah Thomas, because I saw him every game sitting next to the new owner. He's going to be either the general manager or the president of basketball operations, or at least very least a consultant. And then you're going to see some Michigan State blood come into that organization. If he can lure Izzo away from Michigan State, he will. I don't think Izzo will go for that, but there's going to be somewhere down the line where something like that happens. And
Hey,
coach of the year,
Izzo,
that's what happens.
I've covered Izzo over the years. Guy's a heck of a college coach. And I think he's smart enough to know not to step into this arena.
Yeah, I would think so, but you never know. People don't understand the workings and the inner workings of the NBA front office coaching situation. Coaching business is a cutthroat, brutal business, and it's just the way it is. And the deal is, Monty Williams is going to get another job. Budenhauer is going to get another job. Nick Nurse is going to get another job sooner than later. And you know what you do as a head coach in the NBA? I wish I had this opportunity. I would beg for this, that you have a contract that after you get fired pays you another $6 to $10 million for the next year. Thank you. Give me that. Fire me. Goodbye.
I got to throw this one in from Steve. This is going to break your heart, Mo.
It's the truth.
Well, he said he's coming back. He's coming. He's going to make some people pay next year. Talking about Giannis.
Yeah, if I could talk to him right now, I would say, how are you going to do that? You tell me what your game plan is. How are you going to do that? How are you going to make them pay? Tell me. And I would this is what I would hope you would say. He'd say, Coach Mo, I'm going to work on my free throw. I'm going to punt my brutal routine I have now that doesn't work. And I'm going to get someone to help me with a simple routine that I can make at least 70% of my free throws. Then you know what else I'm going to do, Coach Mo? I'm going to work on my three-point shot consistently so I can be a 35 to 38% three-point shooter. So when I do take threes, it's not like I'm either going to make it or it's going to be an air ball. That's what I'm going to do, Coach Mo. And you know what else I'm going to do, Coach Mo? I'm going to work on my mid-range game. So when I drive so hard to the basket that I do a spin move or throw the ball away, instead, I'm going to learn how to pull up and take the 12, 14-foot jump shot and kill teams like that. And you know what the last thing I'm going to work on, Coach Mo? I'm going to work on decision-making. So when I drive to the basket at 100 miles an hour, I'm going to know that I can be under control and pass it out before I charge and before I turn it over to hit my shooters, which in Milwaukee Bucks are many, and I'm going to hit them with the shot and they can make the shot. That's how I'm going to come back and make people pay next year, Mo.
Does he have the talent to do those things?
Absolutely. No question. No question. Absolutely. And he works hard. He's a hard worker, plays hard. He just needs to put away his ego. He is one of the most skill-lacking MVPs in NBA history, right? Right? He is MVP of the league, averaged 30 points and 10 rebounds and 5 assists and plays great, puts up great numbers, 50-piece and 40-piece, but his free throw shooting is terrible. His three-point shooting is below average. His pull-up game is way below average. And his passing is average. Those are the skills of basketball players, right? And he, as good as he's been and as many MVP awards as he's won, and thank God he's won a championship for our beloved Milwaukee Bucks. But guess what would happen if you worked on those things and came back next year with a different mindset? It would be amazing. Listen, Giannis, or anybody that with Giannis, if you're listening, come work with Coach Mo in Las Vegas for 1 month. Give me 1 month. We'll have a great time, and we'll make people pay next year. I promise.
Hey Mo, is lifting weights before a game, is that a good thing? Steve thinks this messes up his free throws.
I don't think that has anything to do with his free throws. I think it's his routine. and his confidence and mentality. Now, lifting before a game, if you're lifting heavy weights, is not good. But if you're lifting light weights and low rep and not too many reps, I mean, I don't know. Does he lift weights before a game? I don't know that. I never heard that. You know who used to lift weights before a game? Terry Cummings.
TC.
And he had no problem.
Yeah, he had no problem. Let's go to the East. And I wanted to start this video right about here, Mo. Philadelphia was leading this game 49-48 with a minute 37 to go in the first half. How does this game get away from them so bad?
I mean, a total meltdown. I mean, the Celtics are working for their shot. They're getting that ball in the right people's hands, and that's a flop. But I think they call it a charge, and But let's face it, Mr. MVP Embiid was bad, and James Harden was Game 7. James Harden, he was horrible. He looked like fumbling the ball out of bounds, dribbling off his foot, passing to the wrong people taking shots. I mean, at one point the score was what? It's 55 all, right? And at the end of the third quarter, it's 88-62.
Yeah.
So I think they outscored like 33-11 or something in the third quarter. Bad shots, bad turnovers, wrong people taking shots, and your two best players, Embiid and Harden, fading away, disappearing.
Now Doc Rivers is catching a lot of heat because of this, but they just went up 62-55. He called a timeout. He's trying to stem this thing.
Yeah, I mean, you only got so many timeouts, by the way.
Right.
And I could hear it over the TV because I've heard it before in person. I mean, that Boston crowd was going crazy. And it was loud. And how you slow that down is you don't turn the ball over and you make some shots, or else it's just going to get out of hand. I mean, you call all those timeouts. So, and you need your big. One of the things that really bothered me is Joel Embiid has been whining and talking about getting the MVP award, how he deserves it, and and he got it, and then he doesn't produce. What was he, 4 for 18 or something? I can't even remember. And Harden was even worse. I mean, Harden scores 9 points or whatever he scored, and at the end of the game, Embiid says, we need more help from just me and James. What? What the hell are you talking? What are you talking about? Are you crazy? I mean, look at the two best players on Boston are Tatum and Brown, right? It's two best players. So between them, they had 76 points and 19 rebounds. The two best players, not anybody else, two players. And Embiid and Harden had 24 points and 14 rebounds between them. The two best players. So you tell me who needs more help.
Embiid was 5 of 18 yesterday.
I mean,
and Harden was 3 for 11.
Yeah, Tobias Harris had 19 points. Maxey had 17, and Tucker had 11, and he had them most in the first quarter. But that's all the help you need, man. I mean, Tatum and Brown, Brogdon had 12, and Smart had 7. There's the help they got. So come on, man. Don't beg for MVP all the time, and then not show up for Game 7, and then blame it that you don't have enough help. Come on, man.
I'm with Jared again. I mean, Jared knows his basketball. Philly blew it back in Game 7 when Tatum and Brown shot poorly. I'm sorry, but Doc Rivers loses another Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a stat. He's lost 11 Game 7s or something, or what. Doc Rivers is a great coach. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's got the 10 best winningest percent. Winning most games won to anybody in the history of the game. and all the other 9 are in the Hall of Fame, so he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But at this point, it's my time for a different voice. He did. I'm telling you, look at him. I mean, I've been there before. I mean, there's not much else he could do, but the cards are probably dealt that he's going to be let go. And whether they keep him on as a advisor or whatever, here's what. Keep an eye out of this, Jared, right? So Daryl Morey is James Harden's guy, right? Daryl Morey is the GM of the Philadelphia. If Daryl Morey gives James Harden a big, long extension, high-paying extension, that's going to be you, Philly fans. You're in for another trust the process years, man. You're going to be in trouble, man.
I don't see I don't see how they could commit to him this late in his career.
I'm just saying, keep your eye out. Stranger things
Yeah,
happen.
I mean, oh no, certainly, no doubt about that. But they will be facing the New York Knicks. I mean, I'm sorry, not the New York Knicks, but the Miami Heat, the 8th seed Miami Heat, Mo. And they've just been on a terrific run since the playoffs started. You know, they actually lost their first playing game, and they looked terrible doing it to an Atlanta team that, wasn't great shakes at all.
Yeah.
But something happened down there, and Jimmy Butler has been the catalyst of that, and Lowry has played great for them. Talk to me about the Heat's run that they've been on.
Well, all you had to do is watch that last possession, how they pass the ball, move the ball, attack the rim. When you got buckets Butler that can score 50, in a game, and you got look at that. That's horns twist that every team runs, and they're hitting the right guy at the right time. They're on a roll. They're playing really good basketball. Bam Adebayo is playing really good basketball just at the right time. Lowry is getting young legs again. Robinson has stepped up for the player that went down, Hero. So Robinson has stepped up for Hero. And they picked up a guy that nobody thought about, right? At the end, right before the draft, before the trade deadline, called Love. Mr. Love is averaging 6 points and 6 rebounds and is another big body that knows how to play. So, they're playing really well at the right time. I don't know if they have enough weapons to beat Boston, because Boston they're deep and they're talented. And they also have a Tatum that can put up 50, just like Butler put up 50. Their next best wing guy is Strus, who's averaging 15, but he's no comparison to Brown. So, and Horford plays well. Williams is a good backup. So, I think I have Boston winning this in a good series, 6 or 7 games. But, I don't see how the Heat are deep enough to be able to compete with the Boston Celtics.
I heard Spoelstra talking about Kyle Lowry the other day, and just all the little stuff he does that people they don't show up in the stats. What's the importance of a guy like a Kyle Lowry, Mark?
Kyle Lowry has been there, right? He's won a championship. He has a ring. He's always been known as a pit bull, like a tough guy that, is physical and, plays both ends of the floor. He takes charges, like Marcus Smart takes charges. Lowry will take charges. He can score. He's just got leadership built up. Guys love to play with players like that. They're unselfish. They'll pass you the ball. They're great teammates. They'll dive on the floor, take charges. They're not afraid of that. And, they're invaluable. Players that can still play at that level and play that way are invaluable. That's why people underestimate the Boston Celtics and Marcus Smart. Everybody, he's got limitations or whatever, but he can knock down a 3 when he needs to. He takes charges and gives up his body, and all the players on his team love him. So those guys are important if you're going to make a run like this.
That sounds like your old teammate Sidney Moncrief.
Sure. I mean, yeah, Sidney would sacrifice his body. He played both ends of the floor. You know, he rebounded, passed, he did whatever it takes to win. And everybody wanted to play for him. And a lot of times in that situation, you know, as teammates, especially role players, right? Who we've already said how important role players are in 7-game series. Very important. Role players, when you have Sidney Moncriefs or guys like that, you not only do you want to win, but you don't want to let those guys down. They're your teammates. They respect you, and you don't want to let them down. So you might even play harder. You know, you might give up a little more in a game. So that's very, very important.
Now, this is interesting from Steve. Heat might have the best coach now.
Who, Pat Riley?
Hey, do you remember when he took that job over? Everybody said, "Oh, Pat Riley's going to be coaching from the stands." But Spoelstra has really established himself, Mo, as one of the best coaches in the NBA.
Yeah, he has, and he's done a great job. But actually, that happened, right? When I was with the Dallas Mavericks, Spoelstra started coaching the season, and after about a month, Pat Riley bumped him over to whatever, and Pat Riley took over that team and beat us in the finals and won a championship ring. That actually happened.
Wow.
He didn't coach him in the stands. He went down, coached him on the bench. But yeah, Eric is becoming one of the better coaches in the league. He makes adjustments. Players respect him for his knowledge. He's got a good demeanor about him. You know, they keep part of the reason though they keep Haslam, right? Haslam is like he's almost as old as me. He's like 80 years old, and they keep him on the roster because he is like Spoelstra's henchman. Like, you know, don't mess with Spoelstra because Haslam's right there and got his back. That's there for a reason. You know, but Spoelstra's doing all the right things, and you know he's got championships. And you know, I've told you a long time ago when you asked me what does it take to be an effective head coach in the NBA. Well, you got to have the players' respect. You have to have knowledge enough that they do have that respect, and you have to be able to and have the ability to keep players accountable. Eric Spoelstra has all three of those ingredients.
No doubt. Jared, I tell my afternoon hoop friends that it's the role players who win and lose the game. When they don't hustle and play hard, the team will lose. For sure, Jared.
Or when your two stars lay an egg like Harden and Embiid, you lose the game too.
But that game, letting them get away in Game 6 was.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, let's rewind though. Boston let Philly get Game 4, right?
Yeah.
In Boston. So that's when Philly should take over, and they got to win Game 6 and end it there. But they didn't have the killer instinct, and they didn't have, you know, the ability to close it out. And now you open up Game 7. You know, just, you know, ask Philly about Game 7. Ask Sacramento about Game 7. You know, crazy stuff can happen. And but at the same time, at this deep in the playoffs, I find it very amazing to me that teams get blown out in Game 7, like blown out. You know, that never used to be the case. If you're at this high level, you can lose a game by 10, 12, maybe 15, but not 20, 25. Amazing.
Hey, Mo, the Bucks job is open. Pistons job is open. Suns job is open.
Philly's job might be open.
Yeah, and it could be a couple more. And you got some guys out there. Frank Vogel's out there. Nick Nurse is out there. Budenholzer is out there.
Monty Williams is out there.
Monty Williams is out there. I mean, what's the best job?
I would say the Bucks, because the Bucks have the majority of their very, very, very talented and good roster and deep roster signed, right? Because you could go to Detroit's going to be a process. You got some good young players coming back. That's going to be an uphill battle. Phoenix is a cluster right now, right? Because Chris Paul is hurt again. Who knows? Kevin Durant could say, "Hey, I want to be traded again," like he hasn't done that before. So and Ayton is not happy either. So that's a tough job. Philly would be a tough job if that comes open too. Toronto is, that's a tough job too. So the best job, in my opinion, is, and the one that you can plug yourself in, is Milwaukee and win right away. Now a lot of expectations, but let's face it, there are going to be expectations for all of them, right? And here's
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
You listed those coaches, which are all great coaches. But here's what stands out. If I'm one of the other teams, and what usually stands out when NBA teams go to hire a head coach is Budenholzer and Nick Nurse all have championships under their belts, right? And Vogel, they all have championships under their belt, and that gives you cred with your team and your players. So that could be a tipping point right there. And if Doc comes available, that's the same case. But who knows? I like Mark Jackson. Supposedly he's been interviewed in Milwaukee. I brought his name up with a Milwaukee reporter the other day. He's had a history of being tough to work with the front office and being very stubborn. He did a great job of putting the Warriors team together and helping them get to the next step when Steve Kerr took over. But I like Mark Jackson. But that relationship when you're going with a veteran team as opposed to a young team might have something to do. I'll throw his name out for the Detroit job. He'd be a great coach for a Detroit Pistons.
I think the Pistons job is potentially, depends on where they get in the lottery. They're going to have Cunningham coming back next year. They got the big young guy, Durham. They got Wiseman. They got some nice young players.
Don't say Wiseman in there.
Well, I mean, he's still 22, and they could have the number one pick. I think the worst job is Phoenix, believe it or not.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because it's a mess. And now in Detroit, like you say, you got players coming back. If they get the first pick and when Nabi from France, the big kid, every coach that's out there is going to want that job.
Yeah.
Period.
But I love your take. You got a chance to see him play earlier this year. Your thoughts on the big guy? Because tomorrow night, by the way, guys, is the draft lottery.
Yeah. Some team is going to be really, really happy because to me, the kid from Alabama, but he's got problems too off the court, right? There's a couple other really good picks that could be there. But to me, the kid from France is a game changer. And, he's 7'4" with a 7'9" arm span or whatever he has, really competitive, shoots threes, handles the ball. Someone compared him to in between KD and the big Frenchman from Utah that was in Utah, Gobert, kind of in between that. He's bigger than Gobert and as skilled as Durant, and he's really, really skinny, really good shot blocker, got a good, seems like he's really competitive and really smart. He's preparing himself and surrounding himself with people that are interested in helping him, not give him a gun to show on the camera. I mean, they're talking about, lifting weights and getting his balance, but and his nutrition and doing his skill work and all that. So, he's someone that, especially with a young team like the Pistons, you can build your team around. And here, I'm not a Wiseman fan, you know that, but here's a thought. If you get the first pick and pick him, Wiseman can be the 4. He can play a 4. or he could play a 5. He could play them both at the same time.
Yeah, he did a lot of that this year when he played with Durham.
Yeah, so I mean, that makes Detroit, whoever, if they get him, that makes the Pistons job way more appealing than the Phoenix Suns. And who else will we say?
You got
Oh,
the
Toronto.
Bucks and Toronto. Hey, Mo, did you see any of Ralph Sampson in Wimbiana?
Yeah, I mean, Ralph was 7'3", 7'4", could run the floor, handle the ball. In today's game, if he was playing today, he could shoot the 3, had a good touch, made free throws, good shot blocker, pretty good rebounder. Yeah, I see a lot of that, except crazy enough, Wenanabo, whatever he says, is taller and longer than Ralph was.
Yeah.
It's freaky. I mean, I've been around tall people. I'm a tall person, and when I saw him in person, and then I saw him standing next to Gobert and made Gobert look small, who is 7'2" or 3" or whatever he is, and how long he is. It's the one play. If people out there want to see how freaky this kid is, there's a play. He's playing in the high-level French league against pretty good players, good competition. He's leading that league in scoring and rebounding, by the way, and block shots at 18 years old. But there's a clip of him. He shoots a 3 and misses it, and it bounces off the rim, and he runs in and tip dunks it with his head in the rim after missing a 3-pointer. It's like what? Did he really do that?
But you would caution people too.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Is his upside phenomenal? Could he change the game? Could he be a legendary player? Sure. Could he be just an average player? And I'm not putting down anybody, but the fact is, could he be Sean Bradley? Could he be Ralph Sampson? Could he be, maybe that could be true too. He's just too young to put that burden on him, but he's going to have all those expectations. I personally think, he's going to meet those expectations because one thing I noticed is his shot blocking ability, and the other thing is his mentality and his temperament. When I watched him play here in Vegas against the G League team, who had 6'10", 6'11", 260 guys on him, tried to muscle him out and got physical with them, borderline cheap shot like the old days. He never got shook. He never got frustrated. He never got frustrated with the refs. He just went about his business. And if he can do that, I like that a lot, just as much as his talent.
Wow, you've been watching We Got Next, Mo. This hour has just like Dr. J on a fast break. I mean, just get out of the way. It's
that's when both yours and my old afros were blowing back in the wind. Just like Dr. J.
And, hey, but before we go now, let's go over your thoughts on. But wait a minute, I want you to get into this before we go. Coach Mo, how likely is it Becky Hammond gets an NBA job? I know she's rumored with Toronto. And how long before Pop retires? Good question, Jared.
That's a great question, Jared. And actually, I did a radio show this week with the play-by-play person for the Aces. So I did a radio bit with him, and I asked him that question because obviously he's with the team every day and at practices and everything, and he knows Becky Hammonds really well. He didn't really have a yes or no answer. The job here, the difference is the job here in Las Vegas for the WNBA is a gold mine. So for those of you out there that don't know, NBA season is 8 months plus preseason plus playoffs. You're looking at close to 10 months of a job. And you work off season, but really 10 months serious. In the WNBA, your job is the season's 3 months, so your job is about 4 months, less than half of what an NBA season is. And she's the highest paid coach in the WNBA at $1 million a year, and which is nice, which allows her to do ESPN reporting and all kinds of other stuff in the off season. The other thing is they just built a practice facility for the WNBA Aces here in Las Vegas. The owner of the Oakland Raiders owns the Aces, and he built a practice facility next to the Raiders practice facility that is equal to or better than any NBA practice facility. It's just beautiful, with 2 practice courts and offices and hot tubs and cold tubs and training room and TV room and couches, and it's just unbelievable. And she has a loaded team this year that could do back to back. So I think she would be a good NBA coach. She would be tested because it's a first female coach. She has won a championship now in the WNBA. That's not the same as the NBA. Sorry, it's just not. But it does give her credibility. I think she'll be more valuable and get a better opportunity next year if she goes back to back in the WNBA. That says something else. Whether she'll take it or not, he kind of had a question mark of that. She's very connected to her kids, and they're in school. So, I always thought that, she would be the next coach after Pop in San Antonio. They are very, very close. He actually came here and went to a game when they were in the playoffs and the finals and talked to them in the locker room. They are very, very, very close. Pop gave her first opportunity to be on the bench and coach the summer league and actually have a voice. And, let's face it, Coach Pop is, close to retiring. He's phenomenal. Yeah, I think he's already in the Hall of Fame. So it would be a natural, because there's other coaches out there under Pop that would want the Spurs job, but this would kind of give him an out to say, hey, I'm giving it to Becky, the first female coach. And, I think, maybe she has patience and waits and sees if she can win back to back. But you know what? If you're in that opportunity to get interviewed by Toronto, by Detroit, or any of those teams and get offered a 5-year contract at $3 million a year and a chance to coach an NBA, it'd be hard to turn down if I was her too. So it's going to be interesting.
Hey, interesting question from Steve. We're going to go a little bit over because I think this is important to answer, Mo, because Steve is right. Raiders are there now. Got a hockey team there now. The A's are coming to town. Is the NBA next?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Golden Knights came, the hockey team. They play in a 20,000 seat arena. It's beautiful. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year, and then had a good second year. Struggled the third year. They're in the semis right now, doing a really good job, selling out every game. Who thought Vegas would be a hockey town, but it is. Then you got the Raiders coming here. You've seen the arena stadium; it's beautiful, Allegiant Stadium. The Oakland A's, I just saw in the news today, because they've been going back and forth. They have a couple of different spots that they want to build a stadium, and they just closed on the spot that used to be where the Tropicana is, right on the Strip. And they want to build a $1.5 billion stadium right there, 30,000 seat stadium. So I think the A's are coming. And then, Steve, I think there's an NBA team in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years. And let me put this out there. I think the former owner of the Bucks, who just sold the Bucks for $3 billion, whatever, and LeBron James will head up that group, because LeBron, during the preparation for USA basketball here in Las Vegas, where they were practicing, said in a news conference, Adam Silver, I want a team in Las Vegas. I want to own a team in Las Vegas. I want to put it out there now. So he's already put that out there. So to answer your question, 2 or 3 years, I bet.
Wow. Man, this is, what a great hour and hour plus. And
plus.
Paul, I mean, I don't know what to say. The viewers are just fantastic. The questions that come in every week.
We're
Man,
getting more.
we really
We're getting more and more
appreciate everybody out there.
Share the word. We're getting more and more. Love you guys, man. Share the word.
Absolutely. And also, always be on the lookout. We're starting a new segment called We Got Next Plus, where we'll be doing some little snippets when we have breaking news or if Paul gets pissed off about something.
Yeah, that's right. Get off my lawn. We got a new segment called Get Off My Lawn, Coach Mo said.
That's going to be starting real soon. And Skip, we appreciate you. Appreciate the compliment.
Hey, Skip, what's up, brother?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chris, and thank everybody out there. And don't forget, you can get this and other shows at Believe.com. That's BLEAV.com. And anywhere you get your podcast, we got next. For the big fella, Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Peace. See ya.
See ya.
Thanks, Skip.
Thanks, Skippy.